Crystal Palace 0, Man United 0. Just, I can see it in your face. It's just,
Positives. Let's start with positives.
Start with the positives.
First half, set the tempo, dictated the game. Should have had a goal or two. Should have had maybe more. But kind of kept the opponent on their toes. I think Man United made Palace look bad in the first half, and they couldn't settle into the game. Glasner had to make changes at halftime. Erik ten Hag for me did the right thing by not making changes, because it kind of, I think, would have unsettled the 11. And then 60 minutes comes and you take Joshua Zirkzee off. For me, that is literally taking the sting and the buzz and the creativity out of the game. We were having this debate on the match view with Marcel, and I was talking about, Joshua Zirkzee is not taking the shots, but he's doing other things that kind of dictate and create opportunities for others. And I can't fault that. And you saw it once he came off, especially in a game where Bruno Fernandes struggled to get his head in the game. He's either playing a long pass when he shouldn't, underhitting a pass, not finding the right short pass, taking too many. It's so many.
Everything that went wrong for him did.
So I would have thought it would have been the better choice to take him off. And if you want to play Rashford up top, stick Rashford up top. Put Zirkzee in that kind of 9.5, 10 role. You got Eriksen to still do that creative role to kind of keep the ball ticking, keep the ball moving. And then, you take off Ahmad. And then you take off Eriksen, and suddenly United's lost all momentum in the game. You let the opponent kind of get back into it. And I do feel like it's points lost rather than a point gained. United could have easily walked away with 3 points. But in terms of putting the ball in the back of the net, I don't think there's anything more Erik ten Hag could do per se, rather than come on the pitch and actually physically put the ball in the back of of the net himself. I think, if I was to criticise, the entire thing, I would say the subs ruined kind of what United had, but equally so, Garnacho needs to finish his food. Bruno needs to finish his chances. De Ligt is just very unfortunate with that header. I think he did a lot right. And Henderson makes a very lucky save. And I think after that Garnacho kind of outside of the box shot, after that, I don't think Dean Henderson had much to do. No.
And that's the thing in the second half is, one thing is, like you said, all those positives of doing the right things, but we gave the impetus back to them with the substitutions. And then we were saying during the match, now this is a 50-50 game. Or if anything, there was a period where Palace looked more like scoring, and that's concerning.
Yeah, second half was definitely I think actually Glasner, I don't even think it was United more so. I think Glasner realised that the way United set up was to basically dictate the game. And the best thing you can do coming into the game is you set the tone and you make the opponent adjust. And I think that's what United did. Second half, Glasner realised he had to change something, took off Mateta, who I said at the beginning of the game, whoever comes out on top between the fight between De Ligt and Mateta will win the game. And he came off at the beginning of the second half. So Glasner had to adjust, and he did. And he kind of went for that more running style of football, kind of having people that can dribble, people that can run in behind, because that's what sometimes United kind of struggle with defensively. And I did say that backline had to be in harmony throughout the entire game. And I think, Onana makes 2 big saves. Eze could have had a goal. Any other day, maybe he would have put it away, but Onana makes big saves. I'm more annoyed about the fact that United should have had a goal or 2. That's the frustrating thing for me. And I also think, had Zirkzee not come off, would the game have finished out like that? If Bruno had come off, would the game finished out like that? Like that's the questions that I have. And like I said, bar setting the team up to do everything, Ten Hag can't do much more except for get the subs right. And that's why I don't think he got the subs right today.
The subs are the things that killed us, isn't it, today? In terms of the players who did come in, they got to take responsibility as well. Rashford didn't start, was rotated, and Eric said easy decision, got to rotate, etc., etc. And Garnacho proved why he, looked lively, could have scored today, should I say. But it wasn't like Rashford came on and impacted the game and looked like, some people were saying looked like back to sulking and stuff like that. I don't know if I'd go that far, but he didn't come on and grab the ball by the horns, did he? Obviously, Rasmus has been out a long time, and Ugarte for Eriksen is like, you'll get more legs, but you're not going to get better on the ball. Yeah, you're not going to get the creative. The players, what I'm saying is the players,
the changes. I even think, you look at the bench and you think, would I have thrown on Casemiro instead of Ugarte if I'm taking off Eriksen, given the fact that Casemiro is a bit better in that.
A bit higher up now, yeah.
Yeah, a bit higher up, set pieces. I was saying in that final free kick we had, I was like, where's Casemiro when you need him? In that kind of situation, I'm thinking, okay, you need runners, you need legs. Okay, maybe I might bring on Mason Mount. You look at the bench options and you think, United's got over 250 million near enough sitting on the bench. And that's a good problem to have because the manager has options. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from the last game against Palace at Selhurst Park. versus now is that United had a much stronger team and they could come with a much stronger starting 11, and that is definitely a positive. But equally, I'm going to look at it and think, well, the subs that you brought on, it changed the game, but not in a good way. It kind of took the buzz out of the game. It took the fluidity out of the game. That front line between Zirkzee, between Ahmad, between Garnacho, Eriksen, it was working. And then you'd make the changes and it stops working.
The whole balance went, innit?
And I actually think maybe those changes, like bringing on Ugarte, slowing down, last 5-10 minutes, slowing everything down. Maybe Manchester United were like, you know what, we can walk away with a point because Erik ten Hag hasn't done that against Palace away from home. You know, United have struggled away from home. I'm not going to lie. This is Man United's best. The first half was United's best away performance I've seen, or maybe just performance in a long time. And maybe it's because United have not done that well last season that we're looking at everything this season with a microscope. Maybe if United continue to build on this next game and they come out against, Spurs next week, and they come out and play the same, but this time finish their food, I think people will be happy because then they're going to feel like we're building on stuff after each game. But if we come back and we're back at square one next week, then, you know, it's going to be civil war in the finals.
And you know what? That is an interesting point because we had total, apart from the first 30 minutes against Southampton, there was a dominance there, a control there, and we did well. They didn't have a shot after, you know, they missed the penalty. Barnsley doesn't count, but 7-0, whatever. But there was a confidence about us, a way of playing, creating chances, and I think that's a really good point because if you do that against Spurs and it works, like you said, there's something more to buy into. So you don't necessarily blame Ten Hag for trying to change the game, but when you look at it,
I blame him for trying to change the game because I don't think the game needed
change at that point.
I think the thing that needed to be changed was Bruno's erraticness. Like if it was Garnacho doing that, if it was Ahmad doing that, I would hold them to the same standard that Bruno is. So why is it that it's okay for him to stay on in that manner, in that sort of game where we are literally chasing a goal and everything he's doing is kind of nullifying that? I blame Erik ten Hag. I think he got the tactics wrong, but I don't blame him for United not finishing their chances in the first half. It would have been a completely kind of different story. Do you know what I mean? It's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Because someone said as well, if Ten Hag didn't use the subs and someone got injured, you got a wealth of talent there on the bench. Like you said, I can't remember how much money, it's over 200 million. Over 200 million comfortably. Well, Anthony's 90 of it. Casemiro's 70. Mount 60, Jesus Lord. Yeah, Ugarte's, you know, 50 odd. So a lot of talent. So if Højlund's 74, over 300, bro.
There's a lot of money on that bench.
So if he doesn't look towards the talent on the bench and actually when he's saying, well, we got a stronger team now. Not like last year we had to throw an 11 and doesn't. Could the criticism have come away if someone picks up an injury and he didn't use the bench?
I'm not saying don't use the bench, but I'm saying it's the manner in which 60 minutes in, 15 minutes into the second half, and you're telling me the best decision is to take Zirkzee off. I don't think that's right. No, and I don't. If anyone thinks that, please come and convince me because I don't think that's right. When it gets to 75, 80 minutes, making changes, okay, cool. If Man United had felt like we weren't getting that goal, okay, cool, bring on Ugarte, kind of just slow the game down and just see the game out and walk away with a point. But in the 60th minute, you cannot tell me that the right decision was to take off Zirkzee when he was linking the play between pretty much everyone and should have had 2 assists.
So that's right. There you go.